Spring has turned to summer and fall is right around the corner. Through the changing of the seasons, we've watched the Owlet landscape change as well. The once dominant titans of Team Growlulu have succumbed to defeat at the hands of a recently revamped Otter Oxide, who are now facing the juggernauts known as Paradise Tempest. Can the Otters swim through the maelstrom, or will their dreams of capturing the Grand Finals title drown in the torrential storm they will surely be facing? All these questions and more will be answered soon, as tonight we watch the final match, the Grand Finals of Owlet Season 4. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and family beyond the binary, thank you so much for tuning in and joining us tonight for this incredible episode. My name is Warren Juggle God Hammond, and I am joined on the mic once again by the man who I started casting with here in Owlet on April 16th this year, Mr. Amentus Major. How you doing today, buddy?
It is a pleasure, and quite the eloquent introduction as well, might I add. It's hard to follow this up without preparing anything in advance, but nonetheless, I would like to mention that today is the grand finals of this stage. We're playing for all of the marbles, or I guess a quarter, if you count all four of the stages. And Otter Oxide coming up after such a massive upset in that second half of the bracket against Growlulu. And then Paradise Tempest, on the other hand, just coming off of that 3-1 against Rogue Dragons. So both of these teams, I think, have had two very different stories to get here. And Otter Oxide has definitely had a bit more of a tumultuous and difficult journey to reach this point. PT kind of breezing through with that 3-1 in the previous match. So it'll be interesting to see how those past results end up affecting and influencing the outcome of today.
Yeah, it certainly will be. You know, Otter Oxide definitely has to be riding a high after dethroning the formerly undefeated Team Growlulu. So, you know, if nothing else, that certainly is going to have Paradise Tempest at least a little bit worried and thinking about, you know, what they can do to come up against them.
Absolutely. And to kind of talk going into this match about who I'm expecting to see, you know, having the biggest impact in today's finals matchup, I would definitely say, looking at the DPS lineup, it's by far the low-hanging fruit for us to go for here as casters, because everybody and everyone has been watching and talking up both of these DPS lineups. And Lars and Six's storied players on the side of PT, whereas for Otter Oxide, Hawk and McNewbie have been on the come up, I would definitely say, in this stage in particular. So it'll be interesting to see whether those duels end up happening, whether or not both of these DPS lineups end up taking a lot of those duels, or if they try to redouble their efforts towards a different area in the team comps. It'll all settle out once we load into the map, I guess, but really excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, as am I. I think you know, you're right. It's the low-hanging fruit, but you're absolutely right. The DPS duo is something that's really going to have to be negated or neutralized if they're going to have any hope of taking them down. So that's definitely something to be looking out for.
Yeah, and to talk on behalf of Otter Oxide, I do want to talk a little bit more about their tank lineup, because I think that Otter Oxide's tanks kind of fly under the radar. Bishop and Yellow Cello, and particularly Yellow Cello on D.Va, I think is somebody that we really need to be careful for, and I think D.Va is going to be a pretty prominent character, regardless of what composition we're seeing. I think the ball dive, you typically want to run a D.Va with that as well. If we ever end up seeing Brawl, D.Va likely going to be the best off tank. And regardless of, you know, whether or not teams end up playing double shield or anything, I would fully expect Yellow Cello to stay within his comfort zone, because he has been very dominant on D.Va and really providing a lot of value for Otter Oxide that, again, like I mentioned, is not really being focused out by a lot of other teams. So lots of different threats for PT to worry about going into this.
Yeah, there certainly are. And, you know, I think it's great that you mentioned the D.Va of Yellow Cellos as well, because there's no, like, you know, Yellow Cello being so comfortable on that D.Va and, you know, really being their main as far as I can tell. It's the perfect time for this to happen, just like you said. You know, the meta is really strong for D.Va right now. So that's certainly going to be a crucial factor here in tonight's matchup.
And I think the reason for that is because the game is just in such a state of flux right now. I think every composition and every hero has a place on any given map, and it's really about how flexible each position is across all of those heroes. For me, I think D.Va is the most flexible character in the game. She's got no clip, she's got a bunch of upfront damage, Matrix is an obscenely powerful ability, so it just makes total sense as to why D.Va's back in the meta once again, now that, you know, Sigma and Zarya have kind of had their power level reduced slightly in the past couple of patches. And I suppose the bigger question that we're going to have on our minds is, what do the other selection of heroes surrounds that diva for each of these teams? Because I do fully expect it to be a staple here, but really I'm not too 100% on what everybody else is going to play.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, the DPS at this point, it's a rolling thing, honestly. Right now, it feels like, in the course of a game, right? You're going to see swaps made. And as far as the supports lines is concerned, D.Va she's not as self-reliant as, say, a Wrecking Ball, but she still has a lot of stuff that she can rely on with herself. She's got, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she has the most armor in the game. So that right there is already a pretty big deal.
Yeah, and 2 lives as well. I think a lot of people do forget about the fact that Baby D.Va just pops out like the egg, or like the baby chicken from the egg, and you get a second chance at life. And I think that is a very valuable tool that a lot of, less skilled D.Va players compared to the better D.Va players don't utilize as often. But to shift away from this topic slightly, I would like to discuss the first map we're going to be seeing, which is going to be Busan. So I think the 3 sub-maps within Busan, large variety of different compositions we might end up seeing, but a lot of them are open enough to allow certain players to come in and play certain heroes. For example, Varian Rin comes in for Otter Oxide on that main tank role, and from the past footage that I've seen him play in, he is a huge fan of Orisa.
Yeah, that is true. That would be an interesting look into this map. Or on any of these maps, I feel like I haven't seen Orisa played hardly at all. Mecha Base is just such a brawl-centric map. Shrine is you can play ball, but you can play rush as well. And then going over to downtown, again, dive looks good. So it's interesting to me that Varian Rin is in, because I don't at least immediately see a place for Orisa. I mean, you're gonna run it with a double shield, I'm almost positive.
I also believe that he does have a pretty capable Reinhardt as well. So again, I think Otter Oxide have kind of subbed him in as a little bit more flexible. So having a choice between Orisa and Rein going to open up options for you team compositionally speaking. Regardless of which main tank player is playing, I think Otter Oxide overall has that playstyle that supports their DPS above all else, whereas Paradise Tempest has lots of different avenues that they can play through. So it'll be interesting to see whether those individual players within Otter Oxide end up popping off compared to the team performance of PT.
Yeah, and we know that both of these players from Otter Oxide can pop off. I mean, Hawk and McNewbie are insane, both of them respectively, and it's honestly it's going to be really exciting to see just this DPS matchup too, right? Hawk and McNewbie versus Lars and Sixes. I can't think of a better clash of DPS than this.
Yes, and the first submap is going to be Mecha Base here. Brawl-centric. Again, there is room to skew that meta, though. I think now is kind of the best time to pull out a look that maybe the enemy team is just not expecting whatsoever, just because of the fact that this is the grand finals. This is your last opportunity to prove to everybody else that you have something up your sleeve that nobody's expecting.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And, if this were Growlu in here, there would certainly be surprises, but looking like interesting, a Ball Orisa comp coming out from Paradise Tempest. That is fascinating.
Yeah, I have to agree. Mainly because they don't necessarily support each other directly, but they both have very different individual goals as heroes. Orisa, a lot more static, Wrecking Ball, a lot more mobile, and perhaps because of that, interesting combination of those two facets, Paradise Tempest has a bit of an inroad here that will catch the enemy team of Otter Oxide off guard. Yeah,
let's see if that happens. Varian Rin on the Wrecking Ball as well, so I'm excited about this matchup already. Both teams now just posturing for position. Paradise Tempest on the high ground, where you normally see rush compositions kind of meet and start to brawl it out, whereas Otter Oxide opting to go over to the other side. Varian Rin comes in for a slam, is chased away by the damage from Paradise Tempest. Nobody really going low yet. Point is open now, but Hawk removed. Six is popping off, taking out all of the aerial support that Otter Oxide had.
Exactly. Team fight's already over the moment Sixus gets 2 there. I don't think any of those characters were in a resible position, and interesting to see the Ashe not really in the kill feed, even though that they had the most ult charge on the side of PT. You can already see charging up that Bob very rapidly, and compared to the contest tools on Otter Oxide, that's going to be a big problem in this next team fight. You need to have a way to reliably push Paradise Tempest back while also standing on the objective, and once Bob gets out on the field, it's really difficult to do both. Yeah,
that is true. It really is. You're going to have to give one way or the other. It's going to be interesting to see just how they decide to deal with that. McNewbie now over onto this Sombra, looking to get a little bit of ult charge. They're actually already at 62% of that. Hawk as well in the air now. Culture comes, excuse me, Culture comes in for a slam, able to get a little bit of value. And once again, Six is popping off, taking Varian Rin out of the fight. And this is just another convincing fight win for Paradise Tempest.
I mean, I did talk about the fact that Bob makes it difficult to accomplish both pushing the team back and contesting, but it seems like Otter Oxide is struggling to do both in a neutral environment with no ultimates involved. They're struggling between, okay, do we push the stack? Do we stand on the objective to force them into us? And this double main tank setup coming out from PT really is throwing Otter Oxide for a loop right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. They look lost. They look like they don't know how exactly they want to engage against this composition. McNewbie does have the EMP though. Exactly. So this could be a good opening for them. Let's see if he's able to find the value that he needs with it. Oh, big anti comes in onto Ira. There's the EMP now. It catches out Magic Turtle, the other support as well. They go down immediately, and Otter Oxide convincingly winning this fight.
The Bob comes out late from Lars on the objective, will trade a kill back onto Yellow Cello as well. Dueling McNewbie does end up losing, forcing a couple of erroneous ultimates out from Otter Oxide. Those mines were definitely not necessary to win. Nonetheless, they're going to flip it with 96% remaining, and that good EMP from McNewbie really does, set the dominoes in effect, but a nice nade from Jumpy onto Ira as well, really setting up Otter Oxide for success there. Problem is, I think they might be running out of tools to go the distance here. Both Echoes do have the copy to stall out this next engage, but in terms of other win conditions outside of that, I think this Flux can reliably be lived through Magic Turtle's Lamp and Ira's Valkyrie, so Otter Oxide needs to find another answer.
That they do. Hack comes in onto Magic Turtle. They go down very low. They are removed from the fight, so no more Immortality Field. This could be the moment that they need. But McNewbie is taken out by Sixes. Here's the duplicate from Hawk onto the Orisa. They're going to get this Supercharger online very quickly, and that is going to be a boom. But they are taken out of the fight, actually, by Lars. Coming up big there, clutching that kill right before that Supercharger gets online. Paradise Tempest poised to take this map, or take control of this point back and the map.
Like I talked about in the previous team fight, using those mines in that way, when it wasn't really necessary, does come back to bite them, because that allowed Paradise Tempest to just walk through the chokes uninterrupted, just pop that copy, walk towards the objective, and once they reach there, the Orisa ball combo is very difficult to dislodge, because you don't really have anybody that can chase down the ball or reliably chunk out that Orisa. So very fascinating dynamic being played out on our screens here. Paradise Tempest comes away with the first submap, and we go towards downtown next.
Yeah, and we are seeing a couple of compositional swaps coming in here on downtown, which makes sense. It's a much different map. Looks like both teams hovering over a dive.
Yep, not too surprised. We did touch on this in the pre-match, talking about how dive was a very strong choice for downtown. And surprisingly, Varian Rin is actually remaining very flexible in this match. And it's surprising to me because he's being put on heroes that I don't necessarily consider him to be that comfortable on. Going towards the Winston now with a 6-man dive, it'll be interesting to see whether or not he has any decent impact compared to Azakari, who we know is a very capable Winston player.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And you know what, I have to comment too on the fact that Lars got that Mega Health Pack hacked early for Paradise Tempest. That's going to make this a lot harder. McNewbie unable to get over there and do that. But now the fight has broken out on point. Varian Rin going down to about half health, as well as Sixes. Hack comes in onto Yellow Cello, but it's Varian Rin who bites the dust first. Quickly equalized by a pick onto Culture. Magic Turtle gets the environmental kill onto Hawk. And PT looking like they're going to cap this point first again.
genius play from Lars there. You hack out the D.Va when the Winston jumps in so that they expect a Matrix to come out in that mid-fight, and then it just never arrives. And it also allows Lars to build up an EMP a lot faster than McNewbie, so if he recognizes that he has a distinct advantage here, he can use the tempo provided from going first with that EMP and carry PT to another fight win.
Yeah, they certainly can. Hack comes in though onto Culture, but there's the EMP hacked by it, and people are dropping immediately from this Death Blossom of sixes.
I mean, that's a very fast fight win. Like I talked about, it's pretty much instantly over. McNewbie does have a chance to respond, and Magic Turtle has the beat though. So if he is able to hide it out, maybe amp heals in the mid fight, get that online before he gets hacked. Pretty decent chance for PT to stall this out and get some more capture percentage, but the ults are seriously in favor of Otter Oxide if this fight goes the distance. It's just about how quickly it ends.
Yeah, that'll be curious to see. McNewbie primed to use it. There's the EMP. It catches 5.
Okay.
Sixes removed immediately. There's Magic Turtle. They use the beat, but it's a little too late as 2 of their members are already down. McNewbie out, though, for Otter Oxide, so they do have an opportunity. Yellow Cello demeched as well. They go down very, very low. Lars going to try and chase them out, it looks like. Culture actually catching them out with the D.Va bomb, it turns out. And now the point heavily under contest right now. Both teams exchanging kills.
Hybra's got this Coalescence coming online soon. Both teams have tools to solve, but still, this entire time, Paradise Tempest has maintained control of the objective. It's ticked up to 75% now, and Otter Oxide have spent 3 ults for 0 gain. PT, all they really have to do is take this next engage slowly enough, charge up the EMP and that Death Blossom, get that combo online once again, and they're going to have a fantastic chance to win this first map of Busan.
Yeah, they certainly will, but there is one big thing in their way, and that is Big Muzzy's beat. If they can avoid this EMP that's likely going to come online soon, then they can really help Otter Oxide survive through this. Here comes the engagement now. Yellow Cello has this D.Va bomb. They use it. Big Muzzy's beat comes out, but Lars hasn't used that EMP yet, so there's still time. That extra shields is now gone. Varian Rin falls to sixes. Once again, Hawk, though, coming in big with a Death Blossom. Doesn't kill anybody right away, but the damage is done. They go down very low. Are they going to be able to survive? No, they are not. Paradise Tempest coming back in with a beat off of Magic Turtle. That is likely going to close things out as Paradise Tempest has far more people on point than Otter Oxide. Varian Rin coming in at the last moment for a recontest, but there's the EMP. From McNewbie. Catches out a few. Sixes, though, the hero that PT needs, and that's going to wrap it up.
Pretty dominant on that map too. I don't think PT really lost control of the situation for very many of that fights up until that very last point there where we saw the recontest EMP come out. But then, like you mentioned, Sixes on that Reaper just presses Q and it's pretty much over. A bit of a theme there. Or excuse me, that was not Sixes. Was it? The colors are really confusing me right now. Nonetheless, the Reaper that is on the orange side right now doing a lot of work. And just in general, I think Paradise Tempest has a bit of a better understanding of how to play the long fight, and in particular, snowball an advantage from the first fight win. You saw the moment that they had that EMP lead, they just know that they can engage first, go quickly with it the moment that Otter Oxide shows their faces, and that snowballs and that cycling of ultimates goes the distance on a map like Control, where you only really get 2 or 3 fights.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And speaking about, how different Control is from the rest of them, this, I'm going to be interested to see how the next fight plays out, because a lot of times teams look really rough on Control, but then they come out and they're dominant on Hybrid and Escort. So curious to see what Otter Oxide does.
Exactly. I mean, there's tons of examples that we can pull from, at least within Owlet. I think Rogue Dragons is one of those teams that typically struggles on that first map and then comes into the payload map with a huge swing of momentum, it feels like. And I think that Otter Oxide can be that team as well. In the past, though, I haven't really seen them capable of doing that. And just in general, I think winning the first map puts the enemy team, and it just gives them the ball, puts it in their court and says, hey, you get to choose the map. You get to define the circumstances of this next section of the match. So already we're going to see a bit of a pivot here. We're going to watch Point Gibraltar, and that tells me that Otter Oxide is a lot more confident in their dive compared to PT.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I wonder if we're going to see a swap coming in for Varian Rin as well. If we're going to see Bishop make a reappearance. Yeah, actually, no. I think we're probably going to see Varian Rin stay in just based on what we saw from the last one. Although Yellow Cello was the person to come out on the ball, at least on Mecha Base. So really curious to see what they're gonna do.
Yeah, and I think something that we need to kind of conclude from the opening segment here is that the DPS matchup has been pretty one-sided, in my opinion. I think on that first map, Sixus and Lars, especially in the Sombra Reaper dive, just seemed to have a little bit more proficiency and a little bit more synergy, especially with those ultimates. You saw the EMP Death Blossom combo repeatedly, and it was used to great effect, whereas Otter Oxide struggling to put one and one together sometimes. And it makes total sense when you consider the fact that, hey, they're trying to claim space back, so they're going to have to make some choices and maybe some unforced errors that PT can then capitalize on.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Put them in a position where they're uncomfortable and see kind of what falls out from that. If it's a support out of position or a DPS not paying attention. Yeah.
And, Watchpoint Gibraltar, since we're playing dive here, or most likely going to play dive, I don't want to assume anything just yet because, but in a dive mirror, positioning is by and far the most important thing to track on both sides, whether you're attacking or defending. You need to constantly be aware of where your backline is relative to you. You need to know where the tanks are, where the DPS are. Having a mental map of where everybody is playing is key to being a really good dive team. And once you layer that with, coordination, pushing in together, comboing ultimates, you're pretty much unstoppable. And it'll be interesting to see if Otter Oxide feels confident enough in their ability to coordinate and beat PT in a 6v6 dive mirror.
Yeah, I'm excited because that is certainly going to be quite the treat to watch. We are going to get loaded in here in just a couple of minutes, but team's not quite ready yet, so I'm going to throw it to a very short break. Stick around. We will be right back.
I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow. I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt a glow. The warmth inside me, it kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me.
And just like that, quick as a flash, we are back and ready to get into Watchpoint Gibraltar, the home, actually, I guess the latter home of Winston. He'd normally on Horizon Lunar Colony, but that's all you'll hear about that map from me.
I always love hearing those lore segments from you and combining it with my own understanding, because one of the funny things I think everybody forgets about Watchpoint Gibraltar is that the payload is rocket fuel so that you can shoot the rocket up into the sky at the end of the map.
Is that what it is?
What do they need the rocket for? Everybody's gone. Why are you shooting that into the sky anymore?
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like I just recently learned too that the payload in in Eichenwald is an EMP. Or no, it's King's Row. It's King's Row.
It is King's Row. It's King's Row.
Yeah.
I remember that too, because the whole Omnic crisis, and they're like throwing it in there for some reason. Sometimes I do wish that the in-game lore was a little bit more expanded upon. Hopefully, something we get in Overwatch 2. Looking forward to it, fingers crossed. But to get back into the competitive side of things,
yes,
really looking forward to seeing these two teams play again, because Paradise Tempest had a walk in the park, it feels like, on that first map.
Yeah, they really did. They looked very, very dominant so far, and like we were talking about the DPS, duos, right? And how they're matching up against each other. McNewbie had a couple of good moments, I feel like, on the Sombra, but other than that, you're right. Very, very quiet in the kill feed. So it's going to be interesting to see how the DPS of Otter Oxide, adjust and try to find those picks that they need.
Exactly. And we talked a little bit about Varian Rin's hero pool going into this, how he did favor that Arixa and Reinhardt in the past for Otter Oxide. Coming out on that first map and playing Winston all of a sudden. And Wrecking Ball, right? Like, it's a new look for us seeing him, and the results are not in his favor so far. Maybe he goes back towards something that, favors his previous hero pools a little bit more, but we can't really tell because of the fact that we are waiting for them to select their heroes. Side selection goes to PT, and they chose attack, so they get to define the boundaries of how far, Otter Oxide might end up having to push on their attack. So really interesting to see how far they can get it, because in my opinion, I think it is when you're snowballing and when you have a huge advantage, selecting attack really does demoralize the other team a lot more than just defending and full holding.
Yeah, that's a good point. And speaking of like defending and full holding, I feel like what we're going to see here from Otter Oxide, I anticipate we're going to see both first and second point go fairly quickly to PT unless Otter Oxide can get a solid hold on top of that spaceship. And I imagine that they're going to draw their line in the sand at third point when you do start to see some of these tanks that Varian Rin is a little bit more comfortable on.
Well, this is interesting. Hawk opting into Pharah here on first point of Watchpoint Gibraltar. I'm not the biggest fan of this, mainly because of the fact that picking Pharah with such low ceilings and with such little space to play around, Hitscan does not have too difficult of a time pressuring you out and hiding behind terrain. And plus the fact that if you're expecting them to not pick Hitscan, they're on attack. They can swap to it at any point, and you can already see Hawk getting forced back early by Lars on that Ashe, and Magic Turtle on that Ana as well.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Azukari jumping up in there as well to provide a little bit of extra pressure as Paradise Tempest just starts to get the cart moving underneath the car wash here. Not the Symmetra car wash, but more so the Watchpoint Gibraltar car wash. Jumpy gets a pick onto Sixes, though. Traded by McNuby. Are they going to be able to get the res? They try, but they're not able to. Ira deciding against it at the last moment, which is probably a wise decision considering spawn is just right there.
In the meantime, though, this card has made quite a bit of progress. It's gotten underneath this main bridge area. Azukari ends up going down late in that engage. And the only real other character on the side of PT that can pressure the objective is going to be Culture on that D.Va. Looks like he doesn't even need to because the rest of his team has been winning the team fight.
Yeah, they certainly have been. Paradise Tempest coming in strong right here. And Otter Oxide just going to be forced to back off and regroup for a second, or for an attempt to hold here right at the end of first point.
Varian Rin is approaching these mines. I'm expecting him to go for a big slam here. Here he comes, lands it down, gets the adaptive shield, but chunked out almost instantly. Can he stay alive long enough to get those?
Ooh, it's unclear at the moment. Fortunately for him, a couple of members of Otter Oxide touched the point at the last moment, but it is inching closer and closer with every waking moment. Azukari and Lars coming up big. They take out the support line of Otter Oxide. They are no more, so the health you have is the health you've got right here, Varian Rin, and it is not a whole lot. They fall very, very quickly, and that's going to be first point captured for Paradise Tempest.
Yeah, pretty rough for Otter Oxide. They're losing McNuby on that first defense. I think really threw them off with their game. They get surprised by Sixes and Lars over the top, and once again, this DPS duel is going in favor of PT, and that talking point has been sort of beaten to death at this point, but I don't want to write off the horse just yet because of how important it is. Sixes with this copy has 50% over Hawk, and I'm fully expecting him to go super aggressive with it right here.
Yeah, let's see if that comes in. Varian Rin going down very low there. Have to commit the nano to keep him up, but he gets slapped on the cart. Here comes a gravitic flux from Yellow Cello. It's not going to find anything, and in fact, all he's going to find is death at the hands of Lars' Viper rifle. Sixes with the duplicated Sigma now on top of this spaceship. Forced out, though, at the last moment, but Paradise Tempest still winning the fight.
Yeah, overall, in the favor of PT, and now they have so many tools to prevent a contest from Otter Oxide. The Primal plus the Bob is going to make it nearly impossible to stand on this objective past the copy of Hawk, and I don't even think they're going to be able to touch 0.01 meters.
Can't believe what I'm seeing right now on that progress marker. Hawk opts in for the copy onto the D.Va. Good choice right here, especially considering you need to stall out this card as long as you can. And that D.Va Bomb is good for it. There it comes right now. Lars is able to get a pick onto Jumpy, though. In the meantime, D.Va Bomb doesn't find anything, but Hawk is able to D-mech Culture on that D.Va right before they're removed from the fight. Ira gets the res as well. This is all PT.
and 4.5 minutes going into third. We do routinely see pretty long defensive holds because of the structure of this map. The spawns are extremely in favor of defense. This massive corner coming out of spawn makes it a lot easier for the defending team to also shoot members that are still on the objective as well. But PT is getting a lot of card progress already. Otter Oxide swapping over to Brawl as well. And you don't have any ultimates to facilitate an aggressive push here, just the Bob from McNewbie.
Yeah, that's a really good point, especially since they're going to be facing down the barrel of a Tesla cannon that is likely going to be nanoed right now. Here he comes in. Immortality Field already committed by Jumpy, but not before McNewbie is removed from the fight. And now Azakari is going to go wild with the Primal Rage as well, already taking out Jumpy. Big Muzzy, the only one left still that can provide any kind of support or healing to their team, but they're removed as well. PT, they're on victory's door right here.
There's yet to be a moment in this match that Otter Oxide has had control. It's been all PT the whole way through, and they have the ults to sustain and go the distance. Bob comes out late from McNewbie, so it's a 5v5. Can Hawk make the difference?
It's unclear if they can, but here they come, looking for that one-pick potential on the Doomfist. The Rocket Slam comes in, but it isn't able to find anything. McNewbie, though, getting a pick onto Lars with a headshot. The res does come in from Ira, though, so they're back up to full strength. And this card looking primed to go over the finish line as soon as Paradise Tempest can finish off these last few staggered picks.
Oh, McNewbie, that is not a duel you are going to win any day of the week. Late contest comes in from Hawk and Varian Rin, but no kill pressure, no ultimates to stand on that objective. It's going to go handedly in favor of PT. 2 minutes and 55 seconds. And like I talked about, it's been PT the whole way through, and it doesn't have any sign of stopping.
No, it really doesn't. I was expecting a little bit more of a hold coming out from Otter Oxide here on that last point once Varian Rin got over to the Reinhardt, but that just wasn't in the cards for them. And I think we might be seeing a quick 2-0 for Paradise Tempest, unless Otter Oxide really pulls something out of their hat.
If you think about what Otter Oxide, coming into this map was kind of considering and thinking about strategically speaking, you saw the Pharah on first point defense there. I think they had a lot more confidence previously in that choice, and then the moment that it just kind of, fizzles out and doesn't really result in any concrete advantages, they swap over to mirror the Echo Mercy, and clearly Sixus and Ira tag teaming together just have Hawk and Big Muzzy's number right now. I really have not seen Hawk have that ability to go as deep as he normally would be able to, or would like to with that Echo. And it really is because everybody on PT is doing such a good job of forcing him away and making it extremely difficult for him to do his job. And I just have to call into question, going from, such a dominant loss, or rather, a dominant victory for PT, and coming into this map, they're just kind of rolling over Otter Oxide on their own map choice.
Yeah, they are, which has got to be really distressing if you are on the Otter Oxide team or if you're an Otter Oxide fan as well. McNewbie opting over to the Symmetra at the last moment, so likely going to see, a bridge transfer over here to try and take this high ground away from Paradise Tempest right off the bat. Looks like they're coming into a little bit of resistance though up there. Yellow Cello already removed from the fight, but the res does come in.
This is a very common strategy you're going to see pretty often on this map. You TP people across the bridge, and you leave your Tracer on the cart to contest it and push it forward underneath this area right here. And McNewbie is waiting and kind of hoping that somebody drops so that he can slowly pressure them out and build up that pulse bomb, snowball that by sticking it to somebody. But he's getting a bit of a decent contest right now, forced out to half HP, and there seems to be no health packs in sight, so the cart is hitting a dead stop right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. Not moving anywhere right now, especially now that Azukari has dropped themselves down onto the point with a little bit of support as well from Ira and Magic Turtle. Magic Turtle as well already has this nano. They just committed to Azukari once again. They go down to half health, but not before they're able to take out Big Muzzy and stop this push.
Love that play from Azukari, just sacrificing his life with that nano, abusing that damage resistance and absorbing it for his team to go forward. A bit of an underrated aspect of that ability, but nonetheless, Azukari proving why he is the role star, to be honest. Just putting on a show on Winston on Watchpoint Gibraltar. And again, I have to wonder, for Otter Oxide, you chose this and left Varian Rin in, knowing that Paradise Tempest was on a lot of comfort heroes here, and they're showing why they're so comfortable.
Yeah, they certainly are. They're going to have to go for another, they're going to have to go in another direction, I think, if they end up losing this map with their next map pick. Now we see a point being contested by members of Paradise Tempest. They're able to keep McNewbie away on that Tracer. Azukari going down very low, though, on the Winston. They are taken out by Yellow Cello. Here comes a Pulse Bomb. It whiffs. Doesn't quite catch anything. Jumpy able to jump away at the last moment. But look at the shot there from Hawk. Excellent play from them. Culture uses the self-destruct to re-mech right there. They're going to be back in the fight in short order, but Hawk now finally showing some of the prowess that we've known that he has.
Finally. Otter Oxide redoubled in strength. Varian Rin returning from the spawn. Seems like PT committed a little bit too many ultimates, trying to salvage that 5v6. Comes back to bite them because they're not going to be at full strength to contest this first point, but they're going to try anyways. Magic Turtle's Nano is really their only tool to win this.
Yikes, and two members get caught just immediately out by Hawk and Yellow Cello. McDoobie, though, able to equalize Jumpy as well, and that's going to be first point capped for Otter Oxide.
This is interesting. You know, I am not a big fan of trying to go for that close first point hold when you're not at full strength, because of the fact that if you take a close look at what everybody on Otter Oxide's about to do, they are going to take a very forward positioning on that plane. Obviously, going to be a little bit lagging behind here, but the general consensus is if you go for that last second hold on first point, you better, you know, actually succeed, because now you're at such a huge disadvantage. You can't take positioning on this cart here. Varian Rin popping that primal for celebration's sake. Congrats on capturing first here, but you got 3 minutes to cap second as well.
Yeah, that you do. You know, this isn't a bad time bank compared to what Paradise Tempest had. I've been really impressed so far with Otter Oxide's push in general. Bob committed now from Lars onto point. Hawk decides to copy the Diva. They go after the support line of Paradise Tempest, but they kite away. Ira isn't as lucky, though, with their encounter with Varian Rin. Culture falling by the wayside as well, and Otter Oxide looks like they've gotten reinvigorated here.
Ooh, late Primal coming out onto Azukari. This should buy some time. He actually manages to get a trade kill on Jumpy. Rez should not be there. It looks like it gets interrupted by the boop. That was so clutch. So 5v6 if PT chooses to recontest.
And it looks like they're gonna give it a shot. They have the time to. There's a stick though onto the Winston, but it gets Ira instead. Excellent play there from McNewbie. They go down to 7 health though. They're in desperate trouble. Sixes smells the blood in the water and they finish them off. Varian Rin able to find Magic Turtle, so no big heals from that Anna. And Jumpy as well, able to find Azukari. Otter Oxide doing a tremendous job capping, and they're gonna have a healthy time bait going into third point too.
Yep, and that's exactly why I dislike going for that first point hold. You basically just have to sacrifice second, right? You never had a single moment there where PT was in full control. They were constantly recontesting a lot of those fights, and Otter Oxide, with the ultimate advantage provided, just kind of abuse it and win second point in 2 fights in a row, back-to-back, and going into third, they're setting themselves up for success. They're swapping over to the Reinhardt and the Diva, so they're going to have a lot more control on these corners. Azukari and Culture have to be careful on that front line.
Yeah, they're going to have to kite back very quickly, I think, especially because Big Muzzy is on the Lucio as well, so they're going to be able to push in at whatever, you know, speed they want to and catch out whoever they've got their sights set on. As we see this card getting up here to the corner with a little under 3 minutes left, the Diva Bomb committed, lands on the bridge. Don't think that's exactly what they were hoping for, but Hawk is able to get a pick onto Azukari. Molten Core committed onto point as well. Oh, the Deadeye catches Varian Rin out mid-fire strike. And this is going to be PT putting up a nice solid hold here on third point.
Yeah, it looked really good there for a second until I saw that fire strike hit. I was like, that's not what you want to do into a high noon. Yeah, and then he just instantly dies. Lesson learned for Varian Rin, hopefully. Don't make the same mistake again. And speaking of mistakes, Paradise Tempest just popped 5 ults, in case if you missed it. That's a lot of commit. Or I think it was 4, actually. No Longo coming out from Azukari, I believe. But overall, they've kind of shot themselves in the foot because Brawl Comp wants to take a lot of engages quickly, so they'll be able to charge up their ults just as fast. Here comes the window from Jumpy, stacked with the Dragon Strike.
That's an excellent zoning ultimate right there. So much cart progress gained by Otter Oxide. Varian Rin at the tip of that spear now for them. But there has been an biotic grenade committed. Catches out Yellow Cello and Varian Rin, so they go down very, very low. This looks dire for both of them. Support's working overtime to try and keep them up, but it's still not enough. As both Varian Rin and Hawk fall, and that's going to be PT holding.
Yeah, I feel like Otter Oxide had a great advantage going into that after they survived the nade coming out from Magic Turtle, but they just kind of threw it all away by backing up because they felt like they had a little bit too much pressure. Should they continue to redouble their efforts and fully commit into that engage, they would have had a much better chance, but they commit a lot at the beginning and then don't go the distance with it. So that's my problem with the Brawl comp. You need to fully commit to your plays or else you're just going to flounder.
Yeah, that you do. Otter Oxide taking an interesting choice and deciding to push in against that supercharger, but the Molten Core has just trapped them all in this little room. You thought that it was safe for you because there was a mega health pack there, but oh my gosh, Sixes had different ideas, and Paradise Tempest with a great hold.
That is a bit of a head scratcher, to be honest. I really do wish that Otter Oxide recognized the win condition of the composition here. It's to just run past the shields and try to build an advantage getting at melee range, but they just never reach there because of the fact that they feel the need to back up. Hopefully with this beat, things, their fortune changes slightly, but problem is there's just so many different threats from Paradise Tempest in this next engage that they have to worry about. Just Lars with the Bob coming in first and the Flux from Culture, but the nice Shatter!
Oh, the Shatter does catch out a couple people. Sixes goes down. Here's the beat committed by Big Muzzy. That's going to allow Otter Oxide to push forward really hard now. And that is exactly what they're doing. But Culture coming out with a big Gravitic Flux and the Accretion to take out Hawk as well. Paradise Tempest is going to hold. They're going to go up 2-0 unless Yellow Cello has something to say about it. Removes half of Paradise Tempest, but fortunately for them, the other half was there. And PT goes to 2-0.
That makes it hurt more somehow, even though it meant nothing. You get the 3K and you just lose anyways.
Yeah.
Poor man. But again, dominance from PT. I have to question that first point contest and maybe gambling their advantage away a little bit. Nonetheless, they put up a great hold on third and prove why they love playing double shield. They have such proficiency on every composition that ends up coming out on Watchpoint Gibraltar. You saw their dive initially, you saw their double shield on defense for third, and again, Otter Oxide, their strategies that they had coming into this just not working out here.
Yeah, they really weren't. Yeah, you know, like you said, you were scratching your head. I've been scratching my head too with, you know, not only some of the, I guess with the map choices they're making, but also the plays that they're making. I'm still thinking about as Varian Rin and Yellow Cello pushing into a supercharger. Like,
right.
That's 101. Don't do this, you know, from my perspective. So yeah, a little bit of a head scratcher right there. But we're going to be moving on to a new map now. Hopefully Otter Oxide picks something that's a little bit more advantageous for them.
To touch on some of the potential cause or reasons why that result might end up occurring is one, nerves. This is the finals, right? This is a very high pressure situation, and this is something I talked about in the pre-show. Otter Oxide, this is a kind of new position for them as a team. This is the deepest they've ever gone Owlet season in season 4. Paradise Tempest, on the other hand, has kind of been here all along, making it to the finals previous stage. Second finals this stage. This is just kind of a walk in the park for them, and they're beating Otter Oxide with the experience that they've gained from their past. This is the same comps we've seen them play throughout the stages, and they're just showing why they love to play it. It's because they're really good at it.
Yes, they are. Now, we are going to be headed to Numbani next, so very similar choice to Watchpoint Gibraltar, if you ask me. So another bit of a head scratcher here, but there are going to be a couple swaps coming in. Bishop is coming in for Varian Ren, and Miraculous coming in for McNewbie. So they're definitely trying something different here, and I'll be excited to see if it works out.
Yeah, that immediately prompts me to think Bishop's in to play Winston, most likely. Because should Paradise Tempest select attack, we're likely going to see a bit of that Winston on a defense where you can hold that high ground at the entrance top right side of the attacking perspective and throw those nades in, cleave enemies as they walk through to the objective. So Paradise Tempest, again, the ball is in their court to build a counter to what they expect to come out, especially because of the fact that when you see certain players coming into the game, you have some preconceived notions about what they might play. So I think that's really going to influence the decision-making for Paradise Tempest going into their portion of the map.
Yeah, that is a very good point. They likely are thinking exactly, that Bishop is coming in to play the Winston a little bit more. But, I don't know if this is really going to change up their game plan too much because the same strategy that I think worked on Watchpoint Gibraltar, likely to work on Numbani as well. They're just very similar maps.
At the end of the day, I think the best choice to make in a lot of these scenarios, especially in high pressure ones, if you really are struggling with a compositional mismatch, just mirror, right? At the end of the day, there's a reason why teams win with a certain comp. And if you're on the losing end of things, the best chance you're likely going to have is just throwing it right back at them and seeing if it works. Even if you don't fully understand the deep, complex layers that every outlet team is putting into each match. Nonetheless, it'll just be, it's mostly conjecture at the end of the day, but to make a barometer from past results and make a prediction towards the future, I'm fully expecting another dominant performance from PT.
Yeah, me too. I mean, this could be the end of the road for Otter Oxide. This is with them, with their backs up against the wall. A win here for Paradise Tempest, that clinches the victory. That's it. That's done and dusted. They'll be our Season 4 champion. So Otter Oxide, they've got a lot right now riding on their shoulders and a lot on their minds as well.
The weight of the world. Hopefully it doesn't crush them. Atlas is on your side, guys. Hold up the boulder on your shoulders. You guys got this, I believe. Because I really do want to see Otter Oxide come out of the gates swinging on this next map. It's their choice again. The onus is on them to figure out how are they going to take this defense, because Paradise has selected the attacking side. So we're going to see a bit of a similar scenario. And like I talked about, the mental is a lot more crushing if you attack first and you push it the whole way through with a huge time bank rather than just full holding, because at least with full holding, it's 4 minutes. If you get a full cap and you have 4 extra minutes, that's a lot more game time and a lot more opportunities to make unforced errors.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The more time you have, the more opportunities you're going to see. And I think that Paradise Tempest, choosing the attack, makes a lot of sense based on, everything you've said here. And we are just about ready to head into the map. So these questions are going to be answered soon.
Speaking of questions, I would like to kind of prompt you with something.
Yes.
What do you believe is like the key reason as to why Otter Oxide might be struggling here? Because I have a couple thoughts, and a lot of it does extend just beyond compositional choice, but I want to get your perspective before we load into this map.
One of the things I think is that Paradise Tempest is been in control of the tempo a lot. I feel like they're making the first moves in a lot of these cases. We saw that a lot on Busan, especially downtown when I'm thinking back to these EMPs, right? Lars was there to set things off really, really early. So I feel like Otter Oxide just isn't getting in position. They aren't getting ready enough in enough time. Paradise Tempest is taking advantage of that. So I think that's one factor. And another factor as well, I think, is that the tanks of Otter Oxide just haven't been able to create the space that they need for the DPS to pop off and do what they need to do. So to me, it's a combination of these two factors.
Honestly, Juggle, my little coach heart is so proud of you, because I agree with both of those points wholeheartedly. I really do feel like Paradise Tempest is just in full control of the tempo. The moment that they get a fight win, they immediately use that as an advantage for the next fight, because they snowball it with their positioning. They make that first move because they can play closer after winning each fight. And it's just kind of ironic to me that Otter Oxide is capable of doing the same thing. They just don't do it consistently, or perhaps they don't recognize how to do so. On Watchpoint Gibraltar, on that second point, we saw them take full control of plane and use that to their advantage to win 2 fights in a row. But then they can't do it on third. And if you think about the reasons why, I think one of those is the fact that you need your supports alive on the third point of Gibraltar, because of the fact that the respawns are so much closer. So we need to be watching Big Muzzy and Jumpy on their defense very closely to make sure that they stay alive long enough to facilitate a full or decent hold on Numbani.
Yeah, very good point. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to do that. Otter Oxide just looking a little more timid, really, than Paradise Tempest. I think timid is a good word to describe how they're playing as well. Timid and indecisive. Yeah.
Looking at the compositions here, Paradise Tempest coming out of the gates with a bit of a weird one. It's a big comp with the hog ball. Paradise Tempest likely trying to create a lot of different angles. Culture rolling through already, so that's a 1 thorn in the side of Otter Oxide. And now that they've spotted out this hog, they got to be aware of that as well, but they get an opening pick up at 6s.
Yeah, that is big. There's not going to be any danger in the sky, and Hawk and Miraculous followed up very quickly with some other picks as well. Paradise Tempest going to be sent back to spawn.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about making the first move. Perfect example of when it works. Otter Oxide in full control of that situation. They spot the enemy team walking through. Paradise Tempest left unawares as to what really went wrong because Otter Oxide just went first and it succeeded. Even if it doesn't work, you're putting yourself in the position to succeed in the long run. And that's really what taking that initiative is all about, just maximizing your potential victory chances.
Yeah, and maximize they are trying to do right now. Azukari taking the low ground, whereas Culture opting for the high ground there, but Hawk Miraculous there to pop off once again, and Paradise Tempest, now they're left scratching their heads.
Exactly. I think a lot of these pushes have just been, or both of these pushes rather, have been very uncoordinated. We're going to see a swap from Culture going towards the D.Va, so this is going to allow him to follow up on other players a little bit more easily with those boosters, with the Matrix as well, maybe protecting Azukari on an aggressive push with that Roadhog. Six is going to Torb as well. Now, this one's a bit confusing because to me, I would much rather him just layer in another hit scan if you really are struggling with the Echo this much, because right now, Hawk, his name has just been in the kill feed this whole time.
Yeah, it certainly has, and he has the duplicate ready to go as well. No ultimates online. Lars is going to get theirs this fight, but they don't have it yet, and that might be the difference maker. Big biotic grenade coming in. Azukari removed from the fight. Culture and Sixes have to back off as well, and now Otter Oxide, they are pushing the pedal to the metal, and they are making sure Paradise Tempest knows that they are not welcome on this point.
Not on that high ground, at least. That's something I talked about previously. The nades are just so sweet on that high ground. The curving of the architecture, it's just perfect for those biotic grenades, and Jumpy proves why. The copy comes in from Hawk as well, maybe not necessary, and now they're not going to have as many stall tools. They will have the Primal now.
That they will, and that Primal could be the difference maker. We see Azukari going down very low again. Looks like another biotic grenade hit them, but this time they're able to regroup and reorganize and get prepped for another push, which should be coming momentarily from Paradise Tempest. Here they go out into the high ground. They meet the Tesla cannon of Bishop though. Sticky bombs coming in onto Sixes of Bold. There's the Primal Rage now. The turret is out from Sixes, and he's actually already almost got this Molten Core online too, so that could help them gain some purchase on the point. D.Va Bomb coming in, and it catches Azukari out. Hawk is there to finish off Lars as well. And Sixes decides to go ahead and commit the Molten Core as well. Hawk finding Magic Turtle. That's definitely gonna put this fight to rest for Otter Oxide.
This is fascinating, especially after seeing how well Paradise Tempest played on Gibraltar. And you talked about how similar a map Numbani is. It's like two different teams here. PT has really struggled to get things opened up for themselves, and maybe it's because of the fact that they're not really thinking about what Otter Oxide wants them to do. They're expecting PT to push towards that high ground, like we talked about, because of those nades. They don't even get to the objective to have a decent chance, but now that they have this bomb from Culture, things might be a little bit different. It's just so questionable because of the fact that those nades can come in at any time.
Yeah, that they certainly can. And here comes the D.Va Bomb. It's just lobbed onto the ground. Yeah, Miraculous has this bob too, and there it gets committed. Excellent timing from them. Culture tries to dislodge Miraculous from the high ground, but they're unsuccessful in the bob. Already getting value. Hawk using the supercharger as well to just destroy what is left of Paradise Tempest. And I can't believe it. We've got a full hold for Otter Oxide on Numbani.
Hubris is kind of the downfall of PT there. They go towards attack expecting to have an easy time with it again, and they get full held?
Yeah.
My word. I mean, Otter Oxide actually, putting up a decent fight here, and they've bought themselves at the very least another map, because worst case scenario, they get full held and they tie. It's still 2-0 at the end of the day. I'm not expecting to see that though, just because of the fact that was so dominant. And PT went through 3 different iterations of compositions. They go towards dive with the Roadhog in the back line looking for hooks. That doesn't work. They go to Brawl, go to the high ground again. That doesn't work. They go to double shield, play in main. They've run out of ultimates to try to contest in the long run. And over and over again, we're seeing a bit of repeat mistakes on both sides, it feels like, where they're not treating certain aspects of the game with the respect that it deserves, especially ult advantage in particular. The defending team that has that ult advantage, if you just swap all of your heroes, you will never be able to catch up.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Something that we haven't talked about yet is the fact that Bishop and Miraculous are in here, and maybe that's been some of the difference maker for Otter Oxide. I typically a main tank Well, maybe not typically, but frequently a main tank is the shot caller. So maybe Bishop coming in and shot calling has helped make a difference for Otter Oxide.
100%. I have to agree. I think his leadership skills are really showing off here. To take a team that just got blasted 2 maps in a row and then immediately turn it around through your substitution and get a full hold off, that speaks volumes to the swap there.
Yeah, it really does. And oh,
Ouch.
Lars able to take out Hawk with a nice headshot from that Viper rifle to start things off. But the res does come in, so they're going to be back up to 6 and are going to be able to continue this push, which is likely going to start with a dive onto that high ground there where Lars is set up.
Looks like they're trying to find their inroad. Miraculous maybe looking for a teleport, but it's going to get interrupted by Azakari dropping down low. Gets to half HP. That's more ult charge for Magic Turtle. And you can see Miraculous setting up a TP. It's layered with the dive.
Ooh, excellent move right there. Lars going down dangerously low. Are they going to be able to finish them off? They are. Miraculous does pay for it with their life, but the picks are going in favor of Otter Oxide fairly heavily. This could be it right here. There's hardly anybody left for Paradise Tempest on point. Mercy just trying everything they can to stay alive, but unsuccessful under that Tesla cannon of Bishops. And Yellow Cello there to finish it off, and that's going to do it. Otter Oxide, after this last couple of stalls come in, are going to be able to take this and start to claw their way back into this series.
Yeah, just got to clear off the last couple of desperate members of Paradise Tempest. The nade-out shotguns at close range are quite deadly, and they will result in the map win. So, one in favor of Otter Oxide. They've got a long way to go to complete this reverse sweep, though. This is a great start for them.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like you said, this was 2 completely different teams, it looked like. I mean, I would have been maybe a little bit more skeptical if this capture had taken a while, but our Otter Oxide did it in short order. They did it in very short order.
Yeah, and you do kind of have to question at the end of the day, what was wrong with the previous iteration? Regardless, we need to just focus on what's working for them right now, because that's what's on PT's mind. They're thinking, right, okay, we just got full held. This is a complete tempo shift in favor of Otter Oxide, and now we're kind of left reeling, just trying to decide what map we want. And thinking to the strengths of Paradise Tempest, going towards the assault game mode, what would you hypothesize as a good choice for them?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm gonna need a moment to think about.
Take your time. Take your time.
The first one that pops into my head is Volskaya Industries.
Okay.
Because there you're gonna be able to play potentially a double shield composition on first point, which I think could be pretty powerful. It's gonna be hard for Otter Oxide to close the distance if you've got Poke coming in every step of the way.
Right.
I don't think Anubis would be the right choice, because I think that's just far too dive friendly, and we just saw how dominant Otter Oxide was on that. You know what? Actually, maybe Hanamura.
That's true.
Maybe Hanamura.
Because when I think about it, I always consider through the lens of, well, maybe Paradise Tempest doesn't really want to play towards their strengths, but rather towards Otter Oxide's weaknesses. And already we've seen that they've kind of struggled playing Brawl into what PT throws at them. So maybe they pick a 2CP map that does traditionally favor Brawl, like Anubis, like Volskaya once you reach that second point. But regardless of the circumstances, now that PT has the map selection, I really do hope they go towards something that they have a prepared strategy for. Just because Otter Oxide has momentum and PT needs to stamp their foot down and say, no, we're not going to let you continue dominating.
Yeah, very, very good point. I think I'm doubling down on the Hanamura pick, because I think Brawl just works so well there that Paradise Tempest can really take Otter Oxide out of their element. First point especially, I feel like trying to run dive there is almost foolhardy.
Well, I guess we're going to find out soon. Both teams have been left speechless in team chat while we've been waiting for the next map to be selected. So we're going to throw it to a quick break. Don't go anywhere, and we'll be right back.
My best friend to 23, she left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow, I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt a glow. The warmth inside me, it kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. Best friend to 23. I heard the heavens crying above me. They gained an angel, I lost a friend. I felt like dying again and again. I went through hell, stared at death, but I keep fighting with each living breath. I saw no way out from where I stood. Felt like the fire had burned me through. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend.
Hello, everybody, and we are back, and we have a map pick as well. We are going to be going to a land where you would have no hope of growing a papaya. That's right, we are going to Volskaya. So, I finally got you to groan. That's an accomplishment there. I've been holding on to that one for a week or two now. But excited to hit you with it in the grand finals.
That makes it okay. That makes it totally fine. So Volskaya, you talked a little bit about it, and for Paradise Tempest, my initial read on this is because of the fact that they're going to be on the attacking side first, they need to open things up somehow, and that's likely going to be through a dive composition. I think Double Shield requires a little bit too many rotations to really be played to full effect on the attacking side, so likely going to see more of that Azakari Winston, maybe even some Azakari Ball. Love to see that. Sixus and Lars on some dive DPS, particularly Echo, I think is going to be prominent throughout the remainder of this series. And that makes a lot more sense as to why Miraculous was subbed in. We saw him doing some massive work on that Ashe previously.
Yeah, he really did. That was, like we were saying before, part of the sub that really turned things around for Otter Oxide. So I'll be curious to see if this substitution carries into, the extra oomph that they got from the substitution, if that carries into this map here.
Yeah, and a bit of an underrated aspect of Otter Oxide's full hold came through Jumpy. Those nades were just so clutch when they needed to be, providing the nanos for Bishop, staying alive through the counterattack from Paradise Tempest. And Otter Oxide now has multiple avenues they can rally around to really stamp down and say, now we can have different threats beyond just our DPS. Now you're not just worried about Hawk and McNewbie. There's Miraculous, there's Jumpy, there's Bishop, there's Yellow Cello. Everybody on Otter Oxide now seems to be at full strength.
Yeah, they really do. It feels like they're back in a comfortable area that they really like to be in. Everything that was a problem before seems to have gotten fixed just by this swap right here. So excited to see, if that continues. And we're going to get to see what exactly Otter Oxide plans to roll out with. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Otter Oxide, they are on defense. They are on defense first. So going with the double shield look. I like it.
Hawk on the far, once again, did not work for them so well on Gibraltar. Hopefully their fortunes turn around here. I wouldn't be surprised if it did work pretty well, mainly because of the fact that when you think about the dive composition, especially being played on attack, the biggest concern is hit scan threat, and there is a lot of terrain to play around as we're going to get a bit of a pause here. Looks like Jumpy was not ready to get going just yet. Nonetheless, we get a bit of a sneak preview as to what both of these teams might end up playing. Paradise Tempest with the hard dive, Looking at the Winston once again, interesting to see the supports. Obviously, this is just conjecture because they're attacking.
Yeah,
I do fully expect on the defending side for Jumpy to end up locking in that Baptiste to synergize with the double shield, provide a bit more healing so that they can remain static on those corners and holding down the objective properly. So really it's about whether Big Muzzy and Hawk can stay alive long enough and utilize the amount of time that that double shield setup is going to provide you with to result in a couple of key picks. Namely because of the fact that if those supports on PT's side stay alive too long on rotations, they're going to have too good of a chance of attack.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Now, one thing that I think is interesting coming out from Paradise Tempest, if they stay with this, is that they're looking at a double main tank dive. This is not something you see very often, and I feel like for good reasons. It's a little too hard to peel for anybody else. You've got to commit fully to the dive and just hope that your supports can survive.
Well, speaking of main tanks, we did see this previously on Busan. Not too long ago, we had the Orisa Wrecking Ball. So,
That's
Culture
right.
clearly has been practicing that Hammond at some level. Making you proud, I'm sure. Actually, might just be going to scout. No, looks like he's rolling towards that left side, right side of your screen. From the attacker's perspective, looks like he's trying to get set up for a big slam, synergize it with Azukari coming in as well, but they have to get through Hawk spam first.
Yeah, that they do. And honestly, I think that the play here from Culture is to just try and dislodge that bunker, and it does a beautiful job of it. I have not seen that rollout. That is going straight into my playbook. I like that move right there. As now all of Paradise Tempest is all of Otter Oxide is scattered to the winds.
They're rotating back towards the Mega side. Slam comes in from Culture. Miraculous is slightly caught out, but he does get the pocket from Big Muzzy. Not enough to live through Magic Turtle's damage, and PT, the wave, is going to slowly crash down onto Otter Oxide.
Yes, it is, because even if Otter Oxide does get a couple of picks here, the respawn advantage is so in favor of Paradise Tempest. We see Culture rolling in now to Bishop. Bishop trying desperately to get a pick onto Sixus, but Sixus is able to move away at the last moment. Culture finishing off Yellow Cello with that grappling claw, and Jumpy actually able to take him out. So this this is all Paradise Tempest now.
The res does come in late for Big Muzzy, pops the Valkyrie as well. We're going to be sorely missing that going into this next engage, because now that they have zero support ultimates, the tempo will be completely defined by Paradise Tempest, especially once they get this Nano Blade online. That is a deadly tool that is almost impossible to counter, as Big Muzzy goes for the trade kill at the last second.
I gotta tell you, I don't know if you saw it, but that image of the hamster furiously barreling down on you in that matchup was something else right there at the end. But this is looking dire for Otter Oxide. They don't have any ults going into this. Here's the blade from Sixus as well. It's already slicing through members of Otter Oxide. Miraculous goes down. He's got his sight set now on the Moira, able to take him out as well right as the blade ends. But Paradise Tempest poised to just roll right through Otter Oxide and capture this point in almost record time. This is incredible.
I mean, this is just a stomp one way or the other this series, it feels like.
Yeah.
Again, so many head scratchers so far, but the biggest one just came now when everybody on Otter Oxide just decides to swap their whole team comp and give up the only 4 ults they could have built. I mean,
yeah,
you had very low chances going into that because of the Nano Blade. Then you put it into the negative with a decision like that.
Yeah, that was hard. That was hard to watch. It was just, it's like you're going up that ramp on the roller coaster and you know what's coming and you don't want it to happen, but it does. No matter what, you're stuck, and that's really what we just saw.
Well, it is clear that when PT gets to, manipulate the scenario, choose the map, define what the meta comp that's going to be played is, they are very comfortable holding control. And we saw it on Watchpoint Gibraltar. The moment that they got control, they never relinquished it. They knew how to play with their advantage, protect their backline on those engages, not get traded out. And on the Assault game mode, that is by and far one of the most important skills to keep in the back of your mind. As long as everybody behind you stays alive, there's almost zero chance you lose.
Yeah, exactly. They just couldn't do anything about it that entire fight. It was like they were just running their heads against a wall, and that wall happened to be Paradise Tempest.
the sharp blade of Sixes made it a little bit more painful when you ran into it. Nonetheless, Otter Oxide have the onus to figure out a good counter to what PT throws at them. Miraculous scouting on that Sombra in stealth, sees the double shield, sees the Torb, sees the Ash. He's like, okay, guys, they're on bunker. They're playing up in the nest. No pun intended from the pre-show. Bishop trying to maybe find a similar flank that Culture pulled off in the previous attack. Rolls through undetected and gets the health pack as well. So maybe another boop. Nope. He's going towards the other pack.
Yeah, gonna just re-health there. And unfortunately, they use those adaptive shields too. That is a 15-second cooldown. That's gonna be a long time before Otter Oxide can engage, but I guess it's going to give time for the rest of the team to rotate. Big nade comes in. It catches a couple of members of Paradise Tempest, but really no follow-up to it.
This is a minute off the clock for little to no gain, besides the positioning from Otter Oxide. They've set up a full three-angled approach here with the Pharah Hanzo in main. Nice boop onto the high ground as well, but Hawk gets taken out.
Ooh, yeah, that's going to be... could be disastrous for them, but they are able to get the res off, and now Bishop eyeing this boop again, but instead just trying to poke them out with those quad cannons instead. Lars now on point. Six is actually getting a pick onto Jumpy there, so that's gonna be the beginning of the end for Otter Oxide's hopes of capturing on this push.
I mean, I briefly discussed the importance of keeping your backline alive, and general trend here is the moment that something starts going wrong for Otter Oxide, they immediately forget about that, and one of the supports ends up going down. You've only really had one fight opportunity here because of how slow the composition you've selected is, and if you continue to be this slow, you will not buy yourself enough time to get enough chances to even get to second point, and PT still have 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, this is just ridiculous coming in from Paradise Tempest. Otter Oxide just can't find an opening that they need. They do start out, though, with a nano onto the Sigma of Yellow Cellos. So they might, no, it doesn't look likely that they're going to be able to build up that Gravitic Flux in time for this fight. Trades coming in on each side. Shield up to keep Bob from doing a tremendous amount of damage to their team. But now Sixes has decided to descend, and descend they have onto Otter Oxide, and that's going to do it.
Hawk is 75% to his barrage after 2.5 minutes. At some point, the red lights have to be flashing in the faces of Otter Oxide and thinking, oh god, everything is going completely wrong, and they're not swapping fast enough. They really only have 1 or 2 pushes left on this first point. You can see they're just standing still in the spawn room trying to figure out what to do. This is so dire for Otter Oxide, and after such a great performance on Numbani, it is very depressing to see this.
Yeah, I hope that maybe with these swaps, they're going to be able to get something going here, but they're going to have to wait another few seconds because that amplification matrix is going to keep everybody hiding.
Yep, that's more time off the clock. A bit of a big cooldown. That doesn't really matter in the face of all the other ults PT still have. The redouble dive comes in. Miraculous on that off angle trying, but Bishop goes first.
Yeah, and Bishop is able to get a little bit of damage in there, but pays for it once again with their life. Six is just too powerful on that Torb. Little Swedish man doing a lot of work right now. Azukari does fall to Yellow Cello though, so this is a 5v5, and the respawns do definitely favor Otter Oxide here. They're able to get the res onto Bishop as well. Lars goes down. This could be what they needed. It looks like Otter Oxide has found their footing once again, and it's on the back of this Bishop and Winston pick.
You saw there how emphasized keeping the tank line alive was from the side of PT. Magic Turtle just only throwing in the healing grenades. Clearly the strategy there was to hold the high ground for as long as possible. And the moment that they lose that high ground, everything kind of falls apart for them, even with the massive ult advantage they had built up. And this is going to be really good for Otter Oxide going into second point, because now they really did not have to expend a lot besides that nano, right? And you just go into the next one thinking, okay, well now we have almost 5 ultimates coming online. It's almost sure to be a Mercy Valkyrie layered on top if the fight goes long enough. Question is, can PT end this quickly with the Bob?
Yeah, that is their only tool on the board right now, so that is a pretty big ask, but the Butler is pretty big as well. Miraculous death at the hands of Sixes, though, on the flank. So, Otter Oxide, wise move here is to just regroup and try again.
He really was looking for that stick, and just get shot in the face. When you lose track of the target like that, something wrong is bound to happen, right? And as a result, he loses that ultimate. Gonna have to head back to the spawn room, but not all hope is lost. Again, still 2 minutes, but I want to mention the fact that PT is going to get a much better second chance if Otter Oxide captures here. That has to be weighing on them heavily going into this fight.
It certainly does. And capture, they have to, because if they don't, then this series is over in Paradise Tempest's favor. They know that they have just about got this thing clutched out, so they're going to be playing to the top of their abilities. Hawk now on the flank is able to take it to duplicate onto the Winston, but he misses the jump onto the vulnerable backline. But he's able to redo it and catch out Ira somehow. Now the Primal Rage being committed by Hawk as well. Molten Core on point, that's going to make things hard, but Sixus is down, and that's going to be the end for Lars as well. Magic Turtle somewhere still with a tiny little bit of health until just a moment ago. Otter Oxide looks like they might actually be able to catch this. How did this res come in onto Lars in the midst of all of this chaos? Excellent move right there by Ira, but they're able to get a pick onto Hawk as well.
They've bought enough time for Respawns to come back in, even though there will be some more capture percentage ticking up for Otter Oxide. This push is as good as dead, and with only a minute remaining, this is the final hour for Otter Oxide in the finals of this Stage 2 playoffs run. Everything comes down to this, and if they can't put anything up here, I mean, even if they do, and they manage to capture, things still do not look very good for them for the rest of this map because of the time bank built up from PT and all of these ultimates that they're staring the barrel down with. There's just 4 on the side of PT that can all stall the fight out for the bomb to come online. How does Otter Oxide open this up?
They're gonna have to get something big with this pulse bomb. Miraculous, now is the time to pop off. You have to find this backline. Iris already popped the Valkyrie though, so that's one target that's not going to be able to get hit very easily at all. Miraculous and finally has that pulse bomb online. Let's see if they can find any value with it. They go down to 10 health though. They desperately need to get healed up before they can get the pulse bomb, but it's gone. Hawk has the duplicate, but 3 members of Otter Oxide are gone and out of this fight. The anti-nade from Jumpy is big, but it's not going to be enough. Paradise Tempest looks primed to hold this and take the Grand Finals championship. There's a victory celebratory Diva Bomb, and that's going to do it. Paradise Tempest are your Season 4 Alad Grand Finals champions.
Just for Stage 2. But yes, they did win the finals in Stage 2. Nice job, guys. And what a way to do it. You know, you full cap on, you know, the 2 CP map type and get a full 4.5 minutes going into your next attack. And then you full hold on second to boot. I mean, what more could you ask for? And I think the story of this series was a lack of momentum from both sides. It's very confusing to me how you can go from full holding Numbani and, you know, dominating the attack, and then putting up something like that, especially because of the fact that those swaps clearly did have such a big effect. It still just was not big enough to stop the oncoming onslaught from PT.
No, it certainly wasn't. And that, what a way to end out this Season 4 of Owlet. Paradise Tempest coming back and getting the win from Otter Oxide, the upstarts who were able to take out the Juggernauts Team Growlulu in the semifinals. Fantastic play from Paradise Tempest.
Good for them, I gotta say. With that upset from Growlulu, this has definitely been, you know, something to watch. But again, it just does confuse me as to how it was not really that close on both sides. Nonetheless, I gotta say, props to PT for remaining consistent the whole way through. Even when things looked really bad for them, they managed to find comfort picks, namely Azakari's Winston, and use that and leverage it and push it to the finals of the finals. They go all the way in map 4 and just really dominate Otter Oxide there. So props to them for their team play, really showing why so many of those players were in contention for Role Stars. Yeah,
it certainly does. Paradise Tempest dominant from start to finish in this Owlet season. And we are going to throw it to a short break. Right after this, we're going to see if we can get an interview in here from someone from Paradise Tempest, and we will also deliver our MVP for the match. So stick around.
I lost my best friend to 23. She left her body and hovered above me. I saw no shadow. I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt a glow. The warmth inside me, it kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying. 23. She left her body and hovered above me. Best friend to 23. I heard the heavens crying above me. They gained an angel, I lost a friend. I felt like dying again and again. I went through hell, stared at death, but I keep fighting with each living breath. I saw no way out from where I stood. Felt like the fire had burned me through. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend.
Hello, everybody. We are back, and we have an interview coming up with Sussing and Lars. Sussing being the coach for Paradise Tempest. But before we get to that, we wanted to announce our MVP for the match, and that title is going to Azukari, the main tank for Paradise Tempest. They just put on a clinic on how to play main tank today, I believe.
Gotta agree. I think when I was considering, a lot of the MVP's choices, I think everybody really did play an instrumental part, but I wanted to shine some light on Azukari just because of the fact that his Winston was really on point, as well as when I think about a lot of the decisions that a team makes, I put things through the lens of, okay, the main tank does end up being the facilitator, and PT played just so well as a team, so I do have to give a lot of credit to the guy that made it happen.
Absolutely. And now let's get into our interview. So I'm going to start things off with a question to you, Sussing. As the head coach, correct?
Correct. That's correct.
Yes. As the head coach, did you have any different preparation that you did coming into this match? Did you have, more scrims, different kinds of scrims? What was your approach coming into the grand finals?
So I think the great thing about Owlet is there is so much parity. Every single team each week, week in, week out, are great opponents. So I think it's not like you're doing anything different. It's just you have to put in that same amount of work every single time. So of course we watch footage, we practice new comps, we talk about, here are our like branching decision making, kind of the way we look at it. And it's less about the work that I put in. It's more about the work that our team put in. I know this week in particular, they have been, grinding their aim trainers. They've been looking over footage themselves. They hosted their own kind of watch party. They've been my team is filled with people who just work so hard individually that it's just a pleasure to coach.
Well, that's got to be very, very gratifying for all of that hard work to pay off in such spectacular fashion, too.
Thank you very much.
So next two questions are going to be directed towards Lars. As one of the representatives of the 6 players on the team, mentally speaking, after getting full held on Numbani in map 3, going into the break, how were you guys reeling from that? Was it easy to kind of bounce back on your own map choice? What was everybody feeling like after that map 3?
We weren't confident going into that map. We knew what they were going to run, and they ran it, and we did a lot of theory crafting throughout the week. So if there was one map we would lose, that was it. So it didn't really affect us too much.
That's cool. Yeah, I think having the right expectations going in is a really appropriate mindset to have. And for my second question, how did you feel in that Echo duel in the skies versus, I believe it was, or was that Sixus on Echo? I can't even remember. But
I didn't
yeah,
play Echo today.
as the Echo dynamic playing a core part in that, typically with the Tracer or the hit scan role, how did you help your team facilitate those aggressive pushes coming out from the Echo?
Well, we noted that Hawk was one of the standout players, so we definitely paid as much attention to him as possible. As a hit scan, I was focusing on him for the most part, and I know Sixus is looking to shut him down as well.
That's good. Yeah, everybody working together to shut out one of those big threats, and it clearly paid off after watching that Gibraltar game. It was, a very dominant performance once you put him on a leash. They really ran out of options. So props to you guys for figuring out the win conditions, and congrats on the win.
Thank you.
And my final question goes to both of you. Before we close things out, do you want to give any shout outs to anybody on your team, family, friends, dogs, deities, chairs, whoever?
Lush, why don't you go first?
I would love to shout out the coaching staff. A lot of what they do is really sort of like high-end strategy. I trust the process, but I don't know exactly what's going on behind the curtains. So I just, I trust them to lead us to victory. So, yeah, shout out to the coaching staff.
Well, definitely going off of that, I think to me, I'm obviously very thankful for some absolutely driven players. I think across the board, whether it's Ira, Sixus, Losh, Azakari, Magic, Rig, and they just work so hard. And I can't say that enough because I think it's one of those situations where to have, 5 times a week, having players buy in, show up on time, ready to work, I think is an incredible thing. And then also, I want to take a moment to obviously shut up my wife, but more importantly, the other coaches like Shizno's been there pretty much every day. Wheels, Ty, and also Calf, who does both the support but also a lot of the behind the scene. And then of course all the members of the Paradise Lost community, and of course the people in Outlet who've really been so nice, so supportive, and really welcoming of a new team this season. And I'm just very thankful. So.
Well, thank you for those comments and those remarks as well, Sussing and Lars. And we are just about ready to close it out. And I can't believe it. This is the end of season 4. We've been here, through the whole thing, Mentos. And here we go. Last final words from you before we close out.
Where to start? This is coming from the heart here, and this goes to everybody watching and everybody behind the scenes that puts on all of the magic in front of your screen. But seriously, I am so thankful for having a start here in Outlet alongside Juggle God. Getting my casting career off the ground here has been nothing short of one of the best experiences I've ever had in Overwatch. Even through all of the other things that I've done, you guys have been so welcoming, so friendly, and really, receptive to all of the things that we have done. I don't think there's been a single moment where I was like, oh wow, I don't want to do this because people are going to not like it. You guys just accept it, and it makes the broadcast so much better for it. And I really do want to say thank you to everybody that tunes in. It has been a pleasure casting for season 4.
It absolutely has been. I want to echo everything you said as well. Thank you to the production staff. Joey, you are awesome. Despite all the crap that you get from Misfit, you do a wonderful job as a producer and commissioner helping Outlet happen. So thank you to everybody behind the scenes. Yeah, coming from the heart too. This is it's been quite the journey over the last 4 months with Outlet. So thank you. This has been such a wonderfully unexpected joy in my life to get to cast and to start to grow in this career. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart as well. Paradise Tempest, once more, congratulations on being our grand finals champion. That's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for tuning in. GG's, and see you next time.
GG's.